Hello and welcome to the channel. Let's get into this live update. We know that it's not exactly live. We want to tackle the latest updates and we don't want to delay it any further. Now, in this video, we're going to be talking about AFRIFORUM's failed attempt at their smear campaign of South Africa across the oceans there in the USA. And obviously, there are inaccuracies when it comes to their stats were exposed by the police minister, where they are actually just looking out for the interest of one group, whereas crime is a problem in South Africa and it affects every citizen, and it is not merely targeted at a particular group. The stats show it, and we're going to take a look at the arguments from there. And then we get Thuli Madonsela, guys. She is back speaking for Black people again. This is because her favorite, Cyril Ramaphosa, is now on the firing line. We see her showing some logic in her reasoning. We take a look at what her responses were in this issue of AFRIFORUM and how they are presenting their case internationally against South Africa's government. Particularly, they are very specific to say the ANC. Now let's take a look at obviously the comments around the actions of AFRIFORUM and that have led them to now be charged with treason. Guys, if you're interested in this, please give this video a thumbs up and please continue to support this channel and give it all the support as we are looking to actually have it, having more contributors, guys, not just this voice. Let's continue as we look at these stories. Now, let's look at the first one, which was hilarious. Firstly, the president of America, that is Donald Trump, went on, guys, and he he signed, yes, he signed that in America, English will then now be the official language, right? And had a field day with this. Obviously, the first one was getting shocked that what was the official language before? We thought Americans are English speakers anyway, but it turns out that America needed to have translations into other languages in key events for all the different participants in their country. So at the moment, Donald Trump said, no more of that. We're going to use English. So we're going to see the backlash coming back from that, obviously, because America has known to be a liberal society, so they can't just shut out people. But at the moment, that is the executive order that they signed. But what is funny for South Africans is that we here in South Africa have Afrikaners who have been offered a refugee status to move to America after the fake claims that they are having a crisis here in South Africa with Afrikaners being under genocide, which is far from the truth. Yes, let's not even lie, there is a high crime rate and farmers do get affected, but it's not only the farmers, it's the farmers and their workers, right? So that's because people are just trying to earn a living. Unfortunately, it is in the most brutal way, and it usually involves drugs. And this is why you would see such gruesome images of the of how they would carry out their break-ins. And as I said, it's not just in the farms. You find these break-ins in the townships. There are times that you do not want to be caught outside. You can find it in the suburbs, in various areas. None of it is justified. in fact, in the South African government should stop fighting AFRIFORUM and actually show that they are doing something to lower the crime rate, right? But asikho lapho, where we are in the fact that they are now being subjected to the very same English that they didn't want here in South Africa with the Bella Bill, saying the Bella Act is killing Africans. Now they're going overseas where Africans will be it's not even a minority, actually. It will not be allowed. Whereas at least in South Africa, it is a recognized language with 11 official languages in South Africa. So whenever required, a person can request an Afrikaans interpreter or a Afrikaans instructor, right? And that was the Bella Act. The Bella Act was saying in the instance where there is a majority of African speakers, they can continue to have their school. They were not saying that you can't have Afrikaans school. They were saying that you can continue to have your school in a majority Afrikaans community. But if the community around you is no longer majority Afrikaans, it's going to have to accommodate other languages of instruction, such as English, such as Zulu, or whatever that language, official language may be. That's the idea on the language aspect of it. That's it. Now, guys, let's talk about their treason claims. I've wasted a lot of time talking about their US and the languages, but also let's also talk about their US trip. So they had a US trip back in, was it when Trump was first president? And that was when Trump first condemned South Africa. And then they went again now recently, and that led to the announcement that was made by Donald Trump and the executive orders against South Africa. And they are back there now, just last week, even right now. They are in the USA of America, continuing with their bargaining with the US policymakers, they say. And this is because they are saying no, they don't want South Africa to be in trouble. They don't want AGOA cancelled. They just want the ANC to be the one that is sanctioned. So they saw the trouble that the first executive order caused for all South Africans, including their white counterparts, who are the main beneficiaries of the USA aid, or that they wanted cancelled. Turns out they were the main beneficiaries, and on top of that, the other beneficiary is the one that supports refugees and immigrants settlement in South Africa. So people are like, oh, okay, Trump, we like what you're doing. Continue with what you're doing. We like it. We like you because you are dealing with you are dealing nicely with all those who are wishing South Africa harm. Now we get here, guys. Unomvula Mankonyane speaking about AFRIFORUM, that they are the reason that South Africa's relations with the US have deteriorated rather to this level. Let's hear about it.
Very good afternoon to you, ma'am.
Afternoon, Thuli, and afternoon to the viewers.
Thank you indeed for making time for us. How does the ANC view this? The introduction is quite clear. You blame AFRIFORUM. What, in your view, has caused the president of a powerful country such as the US to listen to a lobby group?
I think part of what we are dealing with here is the extent of misinformation that has been done against South Africa, particularly around the progressive laws that we have taken. It is a demonstration also of the need for the United States of America to strengthen their own diplomatic relations with ourselves, and where there are issues to be engaged upon, as Comrade President Cyril Ramaphosa has raised, there has to be mutual respect in terms of communication. The lobby groups are a danger to any stability, as we have seen the mess that AFRIFORUM has done. We hope that President Donald Trump's advisors would actually advise. We know it's still early hours of the day in the United States now. We hope that they would advise him and make him to understand, firstly, the Constitution of South Africa that gives guarantees, the Expropriation Act that also does not talk about haphazard land grab, but that gives certainty that it is primarily for good public use and for development. Fourthly, that on the issues of funding in terms of health and health interventions, it constitutes 17% of the total spent, as Comrade Aaron has spoken about. However, it is also something that can't just be a decision, but we do respect the sovereignty of that country. We do respect the fact that they are considering these issues. However, we believe that the situation could have been handled better.
AFRIFORUM does appear to appreciate the larger impact of this action, if indeed it were to happen. And they're saying that not everybody in South Africa should be punished. If anything, the President of the United States must target ANC leaders. It would appear that they are asking almost for targeted sanctions against the leaders of the ANC. How does that sit with you? How do you interpret that?
That's very racist of them, very reactionary of them, very unpatriotic. We have a government that is led by the African National Congress. Our progressive policies actually are meant for uniting South Africans, for promoting equality, for ensuring that there's inclusivity. They are now exposed about their commitment and determination for racial discrimination.
There you have it. That was Nomvula there explaining the ANC's views to AFRIFORUM.
That they were allowed to behave in a certain way for way too long, and it's got.
Before we bring in Bianca here, so I just want to add to Nomvula there and how it leads to Bianca. That Bianca is now going to say that, talk about how the ANC has actually been very lenient and welcoming to contributions from oppositions, whether be it political or be it civil groups. But it looks like the AFRIFORUM group have taken it to an extreme level where it includes misinformation. We know that people are also questioning what is misinformation. In this case, yes, misinformation is twisting the facts. There is a bit of fact in what they're saying. Yes, there are farmers that are unalived in their farms. That is true. But what is not true is that it is merely targeted at them in an effort to genocide. That is what is not true. What is true is that they are getting murdered, and that is due to the high crime rate in South Africa. And it goes on to then talk about how they are not respecting South Africa's constitution. That was Nomvula there, making the contributions from the ANC's point of view. And then Bianca goes on now. Let's take a listen and listen to what she has to say.
Out of hand, absolutely. But you're seeing a toddler meltdown from them. So their little photo op, and that's also another thing I want to highlight. That's one thing that the Solidarity Movement and AFRIFORUM and do a lot of, is that when they're going to make a case, they advertise it, and then they go and say that this police station and they're making this case, and it's like, it's promo work. Remember, they're a membership organization. Those little fancy trips that they take are paid by their members. And I just think that Republican backbenchers met with him. They're now coming out and saying, yo, this is what we did. But here's the irony. They are now, remember, these are people that are rooi gevaar, anti-communism and everything. They haven't looked that the USA is cutting ties with the more liberal countries and have now decided that they're embracing North Korea and they're embracing Russia. So maybe it's their rooi gevaar teenage years, and I think it's very funny. Something will eventually happen, but it's going to happen from the people that they actually listen to. And that is going to be the white commercial farmers, white business people that will tell them, solidarity movement, sit your ass down and shut up. And that's what's going to have to happen, because they are very arrogant. And that's why they had this little tantrum and rushed off with their, thank goodness for their members that have got so much money that can actually pay for their trips. And they rushed off and they did this thing. So let's see what the outcome is. But the fact that no one knows who they actually met with, not even the USA knows who they met with. And also the fact that they're backing a horse like Trump, who is just, he is off the wall. So they don't.
Sorry about
Okay,
that.
so personally, I don't know if that's the case. All right. We'll tell
Continue with that.
and that's why they had this little tantrum and rushed off with their, thank goodness for their members that have got so much money that can actually pay for their trips. And they rushed off and they did this thing. So let's see what the outcome is. But the fact that no one knows who they actually met with, not even the USA knows who they met with. And also the fact that they're backing a horse like Trump, who is just, he is off the wall, wacko. So they don't know what they've done.
Exactly. So that was Bianca's contributions. She's always come. Pardon me. Bianca has always been that lady with a voice of reason when it comes to these matters. We've seen her contribution on the treason charges way before the MKP was one of the people that laid a charge against AFRIFORUM. And she pointed out that, look here, what you guys are doing is treason. So she has been one of those white people, good white South Africans that have been on our side, and we are grateful for those that are able to talk some sense. But we know that they come under a lot of fire when they raise these points, because it looks like they are then against their own. But at the end of the day, the truth must be spoken if we are to build a better future for our children. Because seriously, this back and forth about race, about inequality, decade, it shouldn't be allowed to spill on to the next decade. In the next decade, it should be that all of this is sorted so that the future for our children and their children is having to deal with historical debt, social injustice debt, that is. What are your thoughts on that? I like how Bianca also just talks about the fact that nobody knows who they are talking to in America. It's probably Elon or somebody close to Elon, but whoever it is close enough to have Donald Trump sign orders against South Africa, cutting off our funding, which we do need, guys. It's not easy to raise all that money and also provide free services, because all of that money helps South Africa provide free services. We are seeing the very same South Africa right now looking at putting together a budget that will be able to cover all of South Africa's ambitions. So any amount, whether it's 1 billion or 1 million, definitely goes a long way in providing free services. Or it means that South Africa's marginalized, or some of South Africa's societies will have to dig deep to buy healthcare that they could have received for free with enough funding. We know that France and some countries have stood up to say that they are willing to cover the shortfall as far as they can. Now, guys, let's now then look at what these treason charges are, as the Hawks have told us that, look, we have received 4 charges against AFRIFORUM for treason, and they are now in the process of investigating them. So when they receive them, the only one that we know of is the one of NKP that we saw with Dr. Shope going and opening. So we're not sure who are the other 4. I guess we'll find out in court should the Hawks find a case. But our people, they can disappoint us. We are hoping that they don't this time around. So let's listen to their correspondence on this matter. Bear with me, guys. We are live. Please give this video a thumbs up if you are watching. And I want to say thank you for joining us. As we said, we are trying to put in some of the latest developments as soon as we can, and we will do that as soon as we are able to grow this channel. So kindly hit that subscribe button and the thumbs up. It's totally free, and it definitely promotes our channel and gives us an indication that there are people who are interested in what we are presenting, and also gives us an opportunity to tweak it and make it better for you as our viewer. Thank you so much for joining us.
That are abusing his. I was informed by the media that the Hawks are investigating complaints of high treason against AFRIFORUM. I will not be having any sleepless nights over this, as these complaints are baseless. If the state, however, goes ahead with this, it will make us stronger. It would confirm the point that there are ANC leaders that are abusing their power to govern against certain sections of the population. It's also ludicrous because we have many ANC leaders implicated of corruption at the Zondo Commission, and the Hawks are not acting against them. Then secondly, if AFRIFORUM has to be in court, it would of course also give us a platform to show the world and to show the country how the ANC leaders are acting against of the country. They are disloyal. AFRIFORUM, Solidarity and the Solidarity Movement are loyal because we are fighting for in the interest of the South African people.
That Forum had to say, that is their leader who's out there in America as we speak, going on his continued campaign. So you can already hear the misinformation coming out of him. Already saying that it is the government that is having a case of treason against him. It is not true. So misinformation is information, but it's how can I say it? Because what he's saying is true. There is a treason case against AFRIFORUM, but a part of it is incorrect, that it is the government that instituted the charges. It was individual parties, not the government per se. Now, we also see a lot of people saying that it will obviously be up to the Hawks to do a thorough investigation on this in order for them to then say they truly have a case, because at the moment it's just cases that have been opened, right? So there are South Africans that are already celebrating that once they land here from the US, they shall be arrested. Now, looking at what treason is in South Africa, it says here, as it's on screen, that treason under South African law as defined by the Reuters Assembly Act 17 of 1956. And look at that, it's an act of 1956. So it is the same act that got Abu Mandela and Asmazi Zuma, because the allegations that it's not clear why he was in there, but that got them in there for treason is going to now catch them as well. The one that they Do you understand? It's the trap that they had set for black people is now coming to bite them as white people. You know how things can change, eh? So this is what some of those are. Is that attempting to overthrow the government by force or violence? Of course, they have argued this point, saying that they have heard Umalema also making some really hectic claims about removing the government by barrel of a GUN. So they are they are bringing that up, but we're not sure if did Malema say that literally or was he being metaphoric in his utterances. Again, Malema being quoted out of context, but he can argue that for himself if he faces a treason charge. Now, the second point is that assisting any enemy at war with the Republic of South Africa. So again, this one hasn't been tested as yet because we're not at war at the moment, so this doesn't apply to them. And this is the one that catches them. It says instigating foreign intervention in internal affairs with intentions to harm the state. So this is why they had to go back to America and clean up what they had said, because this puts them in under the treason charge because of the sanctions that followed after they visited Trump, right? That those orders that were signed, they count against them. So now them going back to America to say that no, America shouldn't punish South Africa for the ANC and that the AGOA mustn't be cancelled and that should go on. So they are trying to ensure that any intervention that they do does not fall under this state harm, because AGOA being cancelled because of their utterances would fall under state harm. We know that with the cancellation of funding, that because the cancellation has been worldwide, it wasn't specific to South Africa, so they can get away with this one. But if AGOA is cancelled on the US, yeah, that could get them in behind bars. So that would be an interesting one to see. Now, I wanted to see this is the one that I was talking about Julius Malema also coming up. And then I wanted to also bring about Thuli Madonsela. And how she has done a U-turn, guys. She is out here condemning the AFRIFORUM, telling them that they are sort of missing, according to her, that it looks like they are missing being a part of apartheid. What are your views on that? And then their response, of course, is that no, that they are just coming against a government that is unfair. Guys, let me leave it here because I don't want to make this too long. But please, if you have watched till this far, please give this video a thumbs up anyway. And I want to say thank you for joining us. Please join us on the next live coming up soon on Ndlozi.